Hello and welcome to the Broke But Not Broken podcast. I am your host, Khurram, and let's jump right into this week's episode. I'm recording it a bit later than I would like, but in terms of scheduling, I still have released so far an episode every single week. So that's good. This episode will still come out on Sunday, but it will probably not at 9 a.m. like I originally intend to do each week. The Wednesday episode on YouTube will be on time as usual. I guess one benefit is that most likely if you're watching on YouTube only, then you are gonna have an episode on time pretty much every week. All right, so I guess I'll jump into last week I talked about my book publishing on Amazon. I made a formal announcement on my Instagram and Facebook, and I was very happy with the reception. I don't know. I feel like I got a lot of just good vibes from people I know and people I haven't talked to in a while. So it was nice. It was a nice feeling. And a lot of people said they bought my book, so that made me quite happy. It's been stuck at number 2 on Amazon.com. Best new releases, Asian American poetry. I can't beat that number 1 guy, but it's okay. I mean, I didn't expect to even be up there for that long, that high. So I'll take what I can get, because at the end of the day, this my poetry book was it was for fun. I want to do another one in the future. But right now I'm taking some downtime just to work on some other stuff. What else is going on? Well, I'll just sum up my poetry book issue is that not issue, but actually, well, there was a couple of issues actually. After I released it to Amazon, I had to edit it twice because I found some minor mistakes that were really gonna bother me once I found out about them. So some people out there are gonna have a copy of my book with those edits. They're pretty hard to find, sort of. But in a way, it's kind of like, hey, now you have a limited edition book that no one else will ever have. It's just like a capitalization here or like a letter here that I messed up on. But besides that, everything is good. Reception was great. I'm gonna put the link again in the description this episode. So please check out my book a little more, my poetry book, a little more in sentiments on Amazon. I tried to price it as low as I possibly could. I'm not trying to make money from it. I'm not really going to be making money from it. But yeah, I just want to share my work, and it's nice to have a physical piece of media that I created in other people's houses. I think that's awesome. In fact, I should read one more poem from the book. I don't have the book on me. Well, it's in the living room, but I don't want to go for it right now. Let me just pull up the PDF and put in a random number generator. So I have number 75. Let's read poem number 75. 75. And that poem will be We Will Show You. We Will Show You. We Will Show You. Where is it? 75. 75. Here, We Will Show You. Here we go. This is my poem from my book, We Will Show You, number 75 out of 100. When we fall, like words on a page, it is hard to rise up once again. We look towards a desert's dust, an ocean's breeze, hopeful window scenes. But when we stop, fear to return to reality, if you reach out for a hand, again you will stand. And again, I like to read my poems because I think it's cool if you're interested to see how it would be read if I was reading it. Because, like I said last week, the way I wrote them is sometimes not catered to the way I want it to be read which is something I'll probably be more mindful of in future things I decide to publish. Because not everyone's gonna have me there reading out the poems to them. And then sometimes, if it's written in a way that's not meant to be read, it could come off pretty awkward. All right, so honestly, today I did not feel like recording a podcast. Another element of why the podcast today is coming out later, but I believe in the idea that consistency is the key to success. So I am going to, like last season, force myself to make episodes, but even force myself more than I did last season, because last season I would force myself at random moments. This time I still want to uphold a weekly episode. And so far on week 3, it'd be pretty silly to give up this quickly after all my experience recording these podcasts. So, what to talk about? I don't even know where to start. I have some coffee with me. Pretty shitty coffee. It's actually really, really bad. I should probably stop drinking it. But I don't know. It was getting coffee was part of me recording this podcast. I need the energy to record. But honestly, most of the time, I get coffee as a self-induced placebo effect to make myself feel like I have my energy. Coffee doesn't do too much for me. It does a little bit. It does a little bit, but it doesn't do too much for me. Especially I just feel like I've convinced myself that I really like coffee or the aesthetic of, but more. It's not. I think it's more like I like the aesthetic of coffee. The problem is, I think I really should stop drinking coffee and all kinds of caffeine, because I think all they do is make my anxiety worse. So I don't know. I like coffee, but it's probably not good for me. But for now, I'll just keep drinking it because I want to. Yeah, I made this shitty Nespresso coffee because I'm going to a cafe later today where I'm probably gonna buy coffee again. So I didn't want to drink like a fancier or a more stronger drink right now. So I can get coffee later. Did I talk about how I started as a substitute teacher? If not, let me get into that. So I started being a substitute teacher at my high school, and it's been I just finished my second week there, and it's been pretty chill, honestly. The first week was a bit of a shit show. I was in charge of 9th graders, and let me tell you that 9th graders are a bunch of shits. These kids would not shut up. They were loud, annoying. They would throw papers around the classroom. Some of them even threw them at me. Although, it wasn't like in a bullying way. It was more like in a kids are being stupid kind of way. And I didn't really give it much attention to because I didn't want to show that I cared, because I really didn't care, to be honest. But they stopped pretty quick because, they knew I was not bothered by that shit. And I made sure they picked them up at the end of the day. I was gonna write them up, and they failed that threat. Yeah, but they're annoying. I don't know what's wrong with kids these days. The fact that I said that makes me feel old, so I'll probably try my best not to say that. So I am kids these days. Please. Yeah, I was so anxious to start because again, I don't want to be a teacher. It's too hard for me personally, and the only reason I became a substitute teacher is because, one, I wouldn't have to work full time. I can nicely work 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week. And 2, the pay is all right. And 3, I think that's really it. It's just the flexibility. I need some kind of income right now because I haven't had a job in a while, and the pay is pretty decent. I can't wait till I get my first paycheck. That'll make me probably feel a little bit better. Yeah, kids are loud. I don't know what to expect. I was kind of stressed about 2 things. Because I had some experience working in a school. I was stressed about the bad things I would expect, knowing from my previous experience. But I was also stressed from like didn't know what to expect. So I attack myself there on both sides. But that's the way I am. I'm anxious all the time by default. Probably another reason why I should stop drinking coffee if I really want to help myself limit that even a little bit. Yeah, then the following weeks I worked with 10th graders and 11th graders, and it was a good time. They're much more to themselves. They do their own work. I kind of just like I had time to I was able to read my book to do my own schoolwork. So far I didn't have to teach anyone anything. Um, so that's nice. I just pretty much I'm just babysitting pretty much, and I get a decent amount of free periods where I can just like do my own thing. So that's nice. Yeah, more. I'll talk about student teaching, substitute teaching, more along. I'm working there now, so I'll be doing it every week. So maybe I have a little story every week. Actually, it was kind of fun because when I student teached last semester, did I was working with a geometry teacher here, and I'll call him Mr. L. And then this when I'm working as a substitute teacher, one of the days I came in, I was covering for him, and he had his own two new student teachers because I finished. So I was substituting for my previous teacher, and now I had his student teachers. So that was kind of funny. At one point, there was like 5 teachers in the room, which is a bit overkill in a classroom because some teachers only have like themselves. So we could have easily dispersed those out. Yeah, that's pretty much it with substitute teaching. I just started working, so I don't have much to say. My anxiety has settled down a little bit because my time with the 10th and 11th graders was very less stressful. I wonder what the 12th graders are like because I never taught them. So I guess we'll see about that. To become a teacher, not only do I have to graduate, I also have to pass 2. It used to be 3, but they canceled 1, thank God. 2 certification exams, MAT CST exam, which is a very math-centered exam, and the EAS Educating All Students exam, which is more of an education-based test. I passed the math test last year. It was a little tough, but math is my strength, so I was able to pull through. And then I had this Educating All Students exam, which I was a bit nervous about. It's supposed to be common sense, but I'm more of a logical person. And then some common sense it could be pretty subjective sometimes. The questions would orient around scenarios. So, for example, it would be like, what would you as a teacher do in the situation? And then one answer choice could be something like, you would tell the person this. And then which sounds like, and then that answer would sound good. But then another answer choice would be like, you would tell your higher up to tell the person this. And you find out that the answer is actually to tell the higher up person. Which, questions like that they don't go good with me because like I feel like every answer is a good answer, but you have to find the best answer. So, yeah. But I passed the exam. I just got my score recently. So all my certification exams are done. All of my workshops are done, which are just pretty much watching videos. And now all I have to do is graduate, and I'll have a license to teach in NYC. So that's kind of nice to have. But again, I'm not trying to be a teacher. But I guess it's nice to know if I was down on any kind of job, I have that I guess that backup. My plan is to try to enter the computer science programming industry as a software developer, software engineer, whatever. I want to be able to. I want to take the rest of the year after I graduate to try to become one. So I don't plan on teaching in the fall. And if that fails, I guess I'll go back to teaching because I have at least the credentials. The thing is, like, at least like from what I've been seeing, the computer science industry jobs, kind of in a rough spot right now. There's a very lacking of jobs. A lot of places are stopped hiring. So I guess there's too many people applying, and then not enough positions. So that's one thing I'm starting to get worried about, because I guess I couldn't start real preparation until I graduated, and now I'm about to graduate, and now it feels like it might be really tough to get into the industry. And then two, apparently like AI is getting really, really advanced, and like it's not going to overtake the jobs per se, but it's making it more helpful to, I guess, people in general to, I guess, replace some aspects of the job, and any kind of replacement means less job. So, yeah. I mean, the AI thing, I guess I'm not taking too seriously right now, but the fact of the matter is, it seems that a lot of places are not hiring, and people are struggling to get jobs. Especially, I've been paying attention to the Reddit for coding boot camps, and a lot of people are saying that they graduated their boot camp, and it's been weeks, months, and they haven't found a job yet. And maybe they're just not the strongest candidates, or maybe they haven't tried hard enough, or maybe maybe it's normal to not get a job in the first few weeks or months. Maybe every software developer, even back then, had that issue, but who knows? It just sounds so worrisome. I'm trying to keep an open mind because I believe that what I'm studying is just a little bit more niche than the generic software developer path. That's just my gut feeling. I haven't really done research on it. So what I'm studying right now is to be a C#.NET developer, which is I guess I'm gonna butcher this because I don't know that much. It's just more of a back-end language, and it's like it has potential for like mobile apps, desktop apps, web apps, and all that stuff. I mean, just like any other programming language. But I believe most people, they at least when they take coding boot camps, they go on a very specific like JavaScript path, which so maybe it's oversaturated for those people. Where I will have a little bit of a different language behind my belt and a different set of frameworks that most bootcamp graduates don't have. I mean, maybe that will give me an edge, or because maybe that's a different pool of jobs that I can look into that they can't. But I mean, again, it's just me keeping my head up, and yeah, I'm having fun with it so far. I haven't talked too much about it, and I'm not going to just yet, because I want to make sure that I'm decently committed to this curriculum that I'm following. Because if you've been with me for a while, you know that I've tried to relearn programming multiple times. I would talk about it one episode and never talk about it again because obviously I didn't keep with it. And so this time I want to make sure I'm keeping with it before I talk about it. Yeah. Let's talk about Lost. Has anyone watched the show Lost? So I mean, you probably heard of it. Lost is it's an old show. It's about a plane that crashed. And then we have a bunch of characters on an island, and we follow them through 6 seasons of them surviving and dealing with a lot of supernatural stuff that's happening on the island. Stuff with time travel, flashbacks, flash forwards, sideways flashes, which are just flash forwards in a different timeline. It was a very fun show. A lot of the characters can be really frustrating, but the ending was very. On my rewatch, I didn't remember what the ending was, and the last episode I thought was quite beautiful. Yeah, I really liked it. I'm trying to think of how to describe it because I'm starting to blur a bit now. So what happens in the last season is that we are given sideways flashes of all the main characters, and again, sideways flashes are basically, like we see what happens to these characters if the plane never crashed on the island, right? What their lives would be like. But then we learn at the end, last episode or so, that these are not actually sideways flashes. Like they're not actually like what would happen if the plane didn't crash to these people. This is actually all like, at least that's what I read this on Reddit, and I kind of like this interpretation. This is just purgatory So all these characters are just kind of like stuck in purgatory, and then they were all waiting for Jack, the main character. He's a doctor, um, to and everybody else to remember their memories together on the island because their time on the island was the most important part of their lives. And once they were all able to remember in that purgatory state, they all go together to the church so that together they could all move on. I guess into the afterlife. Um, I thought that was really I don't know, it was pretty beautiful. I don't know if you can get a sense of what I'm trying to say, but yeah, there's a lot of mystery that's not answered in the show. People are frustrated with. There's a lot of bullshittery. There's lots and lots of frustrating characters. But I thought it was a really fun show. I'd recommend it if you never saw it. Check out Lost. It's a good show. It's a good show overall. Um, the next show I plan on rewatching is Seinfeld because it'll be my third rewatch because one of my friends never watched it, and I think it's time for them to watch it. And I haven't watched it in a minute, so I will enjoy that rewatch as well. Makoto Shinkai is one of my favorite, probably my favorite anime film director. Most people know him for the movie Your Name, which came out in 2016. I personally knew him for the movie 5 centimeters per second, which I think is his best work in 2007. Um, so I think I'm a real fan. Unlike all those Your Name sheep. I'm just being a hater. Anyways, he has a new movie. It came out last year in Japan, but now starting to be released overseas this year called Suzume. Um, is there a full title to this movie? Suzume's Door Locking. Um, and it hasn't come officially to the US yet, but the New York Children's Film Festival is having a special screening today. So I'm gonna go. I got tickets, and I'm gonna get to see the movie because I love Shinkai's works, and I'm excited to be one of the first people to see the movie. I know it's gonna be good because all his stuff is great in his own way. Okay, I wanted to save up 10 um like things that I was like I didn't I mean things that like I guess grinding my gears. I was slowly over the last year making a list of 10 things I that would bother me in general, and then have like a podcast episode where I would just like talk about like here's 10 things that bother me. But I never really finished that list. So instead, like I'll just like talk about them as they come to me. Because again, now that I'm doing 30-minute podcast, I just need lots and any content that I could get to achieve that. Um, I've been going for 20 minutes. So okay, good. So if you ever buy any food with the kiosk or deliver food or just tips in general, like at restaurants, um, they would always give you the tip suggested, and like I feel like they've slowly just increased the default suggestions. Like back in the day, you used to be like 15, 18, 20 or something like that, and now I see like the lowest is like 18 and 20, 22%, and I'm like, they can't get away with this. People need to not like just choose those options. Like if they usually always paid 15 and the lowest is 18 on the suggested tips, don't pay the 18, just pay the 15. Unless of course you think they deserve it. Um it's so stupid. It's like suggested tips is just something to like make sway you by making you feel I guess guilty maybe. Another thing with tips that I think everyone should be paying attention to is that like on delivery apps like Uber, the tip is calculated from the total, including the tax and the um the the tax and fees, right? So if you pay, let's say $25 for food, and you had like a $3 fee, and then maybe like I don't know, like a $3 tax, then your subtotal in quotes is $31. Unless you paid 15% of that, that's 465. That's 465 from a 15% tip of the money you paid for the food, the fee, and the tax. You should not be paying tip on the percentage of the fees and tax. Okay, you should only be paying tip on the food, if anything, right? So if you take 15% of the original subtotal, which was $25, you're only paying $375. Okay, in this case, the difference is only $1, so it's not like a big deal. But like it adds up once you buy more food or buy more stuff in general. So again, I would recommend find the percent tip that you want to pay, whether it's 15, 18, 20, whatever you want to do, and calculate it from the subtotal of the food. That's what I always do. I mean, partially I'm being stingy because I don't have like a good income right now. But two, I'm just being like, I think I'm being just here because I shouldn't be tipping on a fee or a tax. I should be tipping on the food or a service. So yeah, I always do 15% on the subtotal, and then I'll round it to the nearest. I'll round it up to the nearest 25 cent or 50 cent. I mean, sometimes when it's like a $2 tip, I'll round it up like a whole dollar because at that point it's like, okay, I'll give an extra dollar. Like the tip's already low enough. It's no biggie, especially if they're delivering. I rather tip because I mean, delivery people they're out there. They have to like they gotta grind. Feels bad. I feel like in most restaurants these days, the reason why you tip restaurant waiters and stuff is because they're supposedly, I think I talked about this before, they're supposedly being paid less than the minimum wage. But I really don't think that's true at a lot of places. Maybe some places it still is, but I feel like in a lot of places now, they're being paid a good wage, and then you're also giving them tips, which is fine. You can give them tips, but just make sure your tip is reflective of their service, not of the suggestive tips, and make sure it's reflected on the percentage of the subtotal, not the taxes and fees. Like, why am I paying tip on a fee? All right, everyone should be mindful of that. Look at your tip next time. See if it's the percentage of the subtotal or the percentage of the taxes and fees included. Because actually, like, doesn't make sense. Like, you didn't make the fee. You're tipping a fee. Think of it that way. Like, thank you for giving me this fee. Let me give you a tip. The dwarf behind me just snapped, and I got scared. Time zones. What's going on? Okay. I guess the last thing I'll stop on is we'll talk about Sim for a second. Sim, aka Silence is Mind, aka my favorite, or one of my favorite punk rock bands from Japan. They just won Best Anime Opening at the Crunchyroll Awards this year. So that's great. Good for them. I mean, I don't really care for the Crunchyroll Awards, but good for them. They seem happy about it. But more importantly, it was for their opening for the Attack on Titan season last year, the Rumbling, which everybody should know. Rumbling. Anyways, they're also doing the opening for this season of Attack on Titan. The song is called Under the Tree, and I think I will make that the song at the end of this podcast episode. So I'm really happy for Sim. They got really popular after their first Attack on Titan opening. They've also recently signed to a U.S. record label and production company. So they might have a U.S. tour coming up soon, and I'm really excited for that. And also, they have their 6th album coming out this summer, which is crazy because I thought their last album, which has a really cool name, I want to say it right now. Let me see here. Sim 5th album. Where? Thank God there are. I don't want to butcher it. Sim's last album was called Thank God there are hundreds of ways to kill. Wait. The picture I'm looking at is so blurry. Where? Thank God there are hundreds of ways to kill enemies. Doesn't that sound like a sick album title? Thank God there are hundreds of ways to kill enemies. That came out 3 years ago. I can't believe so much time has passed since then. But I'm excited. New album, possible U.S. tour. They're doing the Attack on Titan opening. They're gonna blow up even more. Good for them. They've been going at it for a long time. What else? I was going to say something about Sim again. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm really happy they're doing the Attack on Titan opening again. It's really gonna make them bigger. But I kinda wish it went to somebody else because they could also use the popularity. Because anyone who does an opening for Attack on Titan, which is a really big anime, is gonna get some popularity. I mean, Sim already kind of got it, but now they're gonna have it even more. So I mean, I'm still happy for them because they're one of my favorite bands. But I was thinking like, damn, if another band got it, they could probably use that popularity. But it's all good. Sim does good stuff, and I'm glad. I'm happy. I love the new theme song. It's not as heavy as the rumbling, but it's still a good song. So yeah, closing it out. More shilling here. Please check out my poetry book, A Little More Than Sentiments, now out on Amazon. Number 2, best-selling new Asian American poetry. Yeah. Uh, I'll put the link in the description. And stay tuned after this episode and listen to Sim's new opening for Attack on Titan called Under the Tree. Thank you for listening and have a good day.